This evolutionary glitch gets her addicted, and it's not even up to her because attraction isn't a choice. Like if your dream girl was sitting next to you right now and she started touching your shoulder, you wouldn't have the option to not feel a certain way. Now there's an evolutionary glitch that flips this lever with women, and it creates potent chemistry, but it also makes them try hard to want to win you over. I've been practicing it for 4 years, and I've seen how it can cause girls who are best friends to start fighting over you even though you met them 5 minutes ago. Today I'll show you the glitch and how you can use it in your dating life so that women desire you on a biological level. And if you want my personal help, there's a 100% chance that I've helped a guy who's in the same exact shoes as you are in right now to create massive confidence and amazing dating life. Click the link below this video and you can book a free call. Alright, so when I was in the 8th grade, I was a massive fuckboy. Some women still say that I am. Hey, I beg to differ. And what happened was I posted a picture on Instagram where I was flexing my abs. See, I didn't really have abs at the time, but I was so skinny that it really looked like I did. I turned the filters all the way up to show the contrast of the shadows, threw it up on my Instagram profile. By the way, I had just moved to a brand new school from Florida, so all these people were completely fresh to me, didn't know me. But I did have a bunch of them added on Instagram already. And so what happened after I uploaded this fuckboy image of me was a girl, she commented heart emojis underneath my picture. Okay, and then what happened the next day is another girl commented under my picture. All right, and that week when I went to school, I had the most attention from women that I had ever had up to my little life up to that point. And within a week, I had my first 8th grade girlfriend, and I noticed a distinct shift in how women treated me because of the fact that I had uploaded that image, and definitely because of those comments that girls had left. All right, so what I'm talking about today is the bandwagon effect. And the bandwagon effect is a psychological phenomenon where people adopt certain behaviors, styles, or attitudes simply because others are doing so. Now, there's also scientific experiments done on this. There was one done in Japan where they had a few lines on the screen at different lengths. I'll try to show up an image for you so you see what I mean. And so they gave 4 people polarized sunglasses and they had them look at the lines. And so one of the polarized sunglasses affected the length of the lines, or at least in their perception. So what I'm saying is one person saw the lines differently than the other 3, and they were in the same room. And then they asked them questions about the length of the lines. Like, are any of these lines equal in length? And so then 3 people who saw it normally would be like, yeah, X and B were equal in length. But the one person with the special sunglasses would say that, or they would see that X is longer. Yet 40% of the time, they would still agree with the group, okay, because they were influenced by the bandwagon effect. So they literally went against their own eyes and their own vision because the people around them were saying that things were one way. All right, and one more detail. The 40% that fell in line with the group, that was in the women group. All right, because in the men's study, almost 0% of the men went against what they saw and fell in line with the group. Now, I'm not saying that men aren't susceptible to herd mentality. That is not the case in this world. Men are still susceptible, but it's not as drastic as women are. All right, it happens with sports teams, as you probably know. It happens with political candidates, like when somebody's finally winning and everybody wants to hop onto the train. All right, it happens in fashion with trends. It happens in financial markets. You saw with the GameStop pump a few years ago, right? And so now, why does this work? Why do people just want to fall in line with what other people around them are doing? Well, number one, it saves time and energy, right? It just saves mental bandwidth. If I just look around and I see that other people are walking in a certain way, I'm probably just going to walk in a certain way so I don't have to think about it, right? Another thing is that it seems safe. Like if other people are doing something, well, it must be safe. It must work. Another reason is FOMO, so fear of missing out. You don't want to miss out on something cool that's going on or what everybody else is doing, right? Another reason is that people feel like winners by supporting winners, right? So this is why people get really sad and get really frustrated when their team loses, but they feel like the absolute shit when their team wins. All right, and when this comes to dating, a girl might reject you for years and think you're a peasant and coward, but the next day, if she sees you with a girl, she will do a complete 180 and she will actually shapeshift into a different human right before your eyes. And I'm sure you might have had an experience like this in your life. It's crazy, but that's how the women brain works, and I don't blame it, you know? And so a guy doesn't really care if there's a stunning girl that other guys ignore, right? If there's a stunning, absolutely beautiful woman, but every other guy is just passing her up, okay, so he might just think that he found a diamond in the rough. He might get even more excited in that case, probably so. How to create the bandwagon effect. Because, okay, well, what if girls don't like me in the first place? Is probably what you're thinking. Like, how can I get the bandwagon effect rolling? So I will show you right now with these 3 steps to create the bandwagon effect, which is literally the pinnacle of attraction, according to everybody who is an expert on this topic. Now, step number 1 is, well, you first have to have some value. Evolutionary value or some mate value, whatever you want to call it. So step 1 is growing confidence. All right, now why is confidence, you might hear like, okay, be confident, but why is confidence actually attractive to women? Well, confidence, it shows competence. It shows that you must be succeeding in some area of your life. You must have some skill to where you're doing it and it's working, and so you're confident, you're walking around with a little pep in your step. Now that's of value to women. Another reason is that when you're socially confident and saying your own opinions and making jokes and just being who you are, it shows that other people must support you. It shows that other people must have reacted positively to what you're doing. And so that's a mini bandwagon effect in itself. Okay, but the question you must be asking is right now, well, you know, Joseph, this won't work for me because I'm physically inadequate. All right, I'm not 6 feet tall. You know, I'm not that handsome. All right, so let me tell you something. I was at the bar 2 nights ago. All right, it was like Saturday night. I go in the bar and I start talking to this guy who was kind of like a skinny looking twerp. Not that I'm the most jacked guy in the world myself, but either way, skinny looking twerp, must have been 5'7", 5'6". All right, little preppy outfit on, didn't have any drip on either. Curly head, pale guy. Talked to him. You know, he was a cool guy for sure. He was a cool guy. But nothing that impressive about this guy. He wasn't even like, I could tell he wasn't even a baller. All right, so I'm talking to this guy for a while, and all of a sudden, I see this girl kind of like look in the direction. I was like, wow, that's a pretty hot girl. I'm wondering, why is this girl like staring in my direction? Is she looking at me? What's going on? And so this girl walks up to us two, and this girl was like a 9 out of 10, maybe, I don't know. It depends on your standards. I think she was a 9 out of 10, blonde, thick, okay? And so she walks up and she stands next to the guy and she starts kind of joining in the conversation. I was like, oh, do you guys know each other? And they're like, yeah, we've been dating for 9 years. And it blew my mind. You know, there was quite a discrepancy there that I saw. But the thing is, this is pretty usual with what I see with my clients. The reason that guys can pull this off with dating girls who are like physically, I guess you would say, out of their league, is because guys who use money and looks as a crutch are insecure, emotionally weak, and because that's all they did for years, because they were stuck in that trap really for years, they're uncalibrated socially. So if you take the coper and you put him into a social environment against a guy with charisma who does know what he's doing and how to connect with people, it's literally like putting an infant in the octagon with Khabib. It's sad. Like, you see guys get their girls taken, and it's sad, okay? So people with charisma are like a superhuman breed. Really, it's, you know, you might have met 1 or 2 actual charismatic people in your life. All right, some of the most charismatic people that I've ever seen in my life are pastors, very charismatic. Okay, also I go to Toastmasters, public speaking. Those people are charismatic there. And so you meet these people and they're living in a different dimension. Okay, they're living in a different reality because the attraction that they're able to create, it's just insane. All right, now that's step number 1, is you have to grow your confidence. Step number 2 is learning how to become the selector. Okay, so back in the day, I tried cold approach when I first started doing this 4 years ago, and I failed. I failed for a long time. And the reason that I failed for a long time was because I was doing it wrong and I was winging it and I had no clue what I was doing. So I realized that the way they sort of like taught me online and the way that I sort of assumed that the way it was done, it was needy and it was low value. I was essentially going up to women like a homeless beggar. I was treating women like goddesses because of the modern propaganda that they program men with. And so it wasn't working. And I always felt weak after. I always felt like, dude, I felt good for making the approach, but then I felt weak when I was in the conversation. I felt like a child. I then discovered a new way to meet women that totally retains your masculinity. It positions you as the prize, and it works in the daytime and the nighttime. So you're still being a chill and confident guy. You're still being fun. Like, you don't become a stuck-up ass, all right, like a ton of these guys will tell you to do and a ton of these guys act. But what you are is you are the selector. You are the leader, okay? And so, like, women only really have passion in a relationship with a leader. And so I figured out how to be the leader and how to become the leader, like in your core being. And so that women follow you. All right, so you flip the script on the modern propaganda. And so I saw that women wanted my validation now and they wanted my attention now because I wasn't giving it away like candy. All right, and I was retaining my masculine sort of frame. And so when I started doing this, obviously I started to see more success. And I felt like Christopher Columbus because I had just discovered a new world. Like, I just helped a guy out in Georgia to actually implement this, and he got his first date in 1 week of doing this that he had gotten in 2 years, all right? So that's step number 2, is becoming the selector. Step number 3 is time for an upward spiral, all right? Because once you have step 1 and step 2 down, women should be attracted to you. Women will start to see that other women are attracted to you, whether that's in social situations, whether they literally see you online with pictures of you with other women, whether they can just detect that from the way you communicate. All right, so all we need to do now is all I need to help you do is get your foot in the door. All right, it's sort of like when somebody wants to start a new company, okay? And I don't know much about starting companies, but I've heard that it's hard to get your first investor, okay? Because nobody believes in you yet. But once you get that first investor, what you can then do is ask that person to refer you to other friends, okay? And then you can call the investor's friends up and you can be like, oh, John, he just invested in the company. And they're like, oh, John invested in the company, boom, bandwagon effect. And it's an upward spiral. Same thing in dating. I need to help you get your foot in the door. All right, you start getting into an abundance mindset. Women start detecting that you have other options. Women start seeing that you have other options. And from there, dude, it's like a piece of cake. It's like a piece of cake. And most guys can never get there because they're doing the wrong things. They're trying to add like 5 more pounds to their bench press, all right, when really they're just doing the wrong thing. Now, I do have a couple techniques that instantly ignite the bandwagon effect. And one is this. So the girl that you're interested in, you make her jealous of the other friends that are in that social interaction. And so I've seen women completely switch up on their friends that they've been friends with for their entire lives. I've seen them start putting their friends down and start frame controlling them within 5 minutes of being in interaction with them. Now, I'm not trying to make it go to that extent. I'm trying to create a little competition. That's what you do. That's just what you do, okay? But I've seen friends go haywire with this, and I'm like, whoa. It kind of was actually a turnoff how quick you just switch up on your friend like that, honestly. It's crazy. Now, the other one is you can let the girl know that you're in abundance. When I say that, you want to do this the right way. You don't want to do this overtly, okay? Because it could have the opposite effect. If you do this overtly, like for example, if I told you right now, like, hey dude, I'm the shit, like that might not hit as well as if I just showed you I was the shit, right? You might be like, well, why do you need to tell me you're the shit, Joseph. Can't you just like be the shit? Right? So it's like that. If you do this the wrong way, it'll come off offensive, it'll come off try hard. Now, what you want to do is you want to sub-communicate it to them. You want to have them figure it out on their own that you're in abundance. And so they will think that they came to the conclusion themselves. What happens when women see that you're a hot commodity is they will essentially want you. Oftentimes, like I said, girls will even become a bit crazy for guys who have this bandwagon effect. They might start texting him too much. They might become jealous. A little tension is not a bad thing when it comes to her thinking about losing you. A little bit of tension is actually a good thing. All right, it means that she will respect you and the relationship will be more passionate. Now the question is, are you a guy who wants to turn this into reality in your dating life? Or are you a guy who observes? And do you want conversations that end with a hug and I'll see you later at 6, rather than a polite smile and it was nice to meet you? You know, if it's the first one, then click the link below this video. I've created this exact system that transforms guys' dating lives in terms of their confidence, in terms of the number and the quality of dates that they're going on. So if you're done spectating and you want to jump in the deep end with me, I will make sure that you win. Click the link below this video and book a free call.